A critical and potentially devastating development has occurred on the Ukrainian front line, where Russian forces have successfully broken through a key defensive sector, pushing approximately 7 miles behind the main line. This significant breach, characterized by Ukrainian troops abandoning trenches and vehicles, mark a rapid and alarming collapse of defenses in the affected area. The advance, situated about 25 miles north of a major city, immediately places that urban center at extreme risk of abandonment. Furthermore, the strategic city of Konstantinovka is now directly threatened, prompting Ukraine to declare an emergency, call in reserves, and convene urgent meetings in Kyiv as the front line visibly disintegrate. The lack of effective Ukrainian defense in the breakthrough sectors, particularly due to the inexplicable absence of drone surveillance units, allow Russian motorcycle units to exploit a weak point and shatter the defensive line, realizing Ukraine's long-held fears of a major collapse. The breakthrough by Russian force represents a tactical victory with profound strategic implications for Ukraine. The penetration of 7 miles behind the established front line is not merely a localized skirmish, but a deep incursion that disrupts the entire defensive architecture in that sector. This rapid advance suggests a breakdown in command and control, effective communication, and the cohesion of Ukrainian units on the ground. The sight of Ukrainian soldiers abandoning their positions and equipment underscores the severity of the situation, indicating either overwhelming force by the attacking Russians or critical failure in morale and preparation among the defenders. Such a deep and swift penetration makes it exceedingly difficult for Ukrainian forces to stabilize the line quickly, as their rear areas are now directly exposed. The geographic location of this breakthrough, approximately 25 miles north of a significant city, immediately places that urban center in dire jeopardy, with Russian forces advancing rapidly and meeting little resistance. The city's strategic viability as a defensive stronghold is severely compromised. The proximity of the breakthrough means that the city is now within range of Russian artillery and potentially direct assault. This development will undoubtedly force Ukrainian command to consider the painful decision of whether to attempt a desperate defense or initiate an evacuation, effectively abandoning the city to Russian control. The loss of such a city will not only be a significant territorial defeat, but also a major psychological blow to Ukraine, impacting national morale and international perceptions of the conflict. Furthermore, the strategic city of Konstantinovka is now explicitly at risk. Konstantinovka holds significant importance as a logistical hub and a key defensive point in the broader eastern Ukraine theater. Its potential encirclement or direct assault would jeopardize vital supply lines and undermine the entire Ukrainian defensive posture in the Donbas region. The threat to Konstantinovka explains the immediate and urgent response from Kyiv, including the declaration of an emergency and the rapid summoning of reserve force. These actions signify the extreme gravity of the situation and the understanding within the Ukrainian high command that a critical point has been reached, demanding an all-out effort to contain the Russian advance. The observation that there is no battle happening right now, but rather Russian forces are moving forward because Ukraine does not have a defense, paint a chilling picture of the front's collapse. This indicates a complete absence of organized resistance in the breakthrough sector, allowing Russian units to advance virtually unimpeded. Such a scenario is far more dangerous than a fierce, contested battle, as it implies a rapid unraveling of defensive lines rather than a gradual attrition. The lack of defense suggests that the Ukrainian forces either retreated in disorder, were completely overwhelmed, or were simply absent from critical positions, creating a vacuum that Russian forces exploit with devastating efficiency. This is the nightmare scenario for any military, where an enemy advances without having to fight for every inch of ground. The Russian breakthrough occurred at a weak area of the front line, which proved to be a critical vulnerability. The exploitation of such a weak point is a standard military tactic, but its success here highlights a severe intelligence or operational failure on the Ukrainian side. What makes this particular breakthrough even more alarming is the stated reason for the weakness: the absence of Ukrainian drone units that were supposed to be patrolling the skies for Russian advancement. The fact that these vital reconnaissance and early warning assets were off duty and they did not replace them represents an catastrophic lapse in operational security and readiness. Drones are indispensable in modern warfare for providing real-time situational awareness, detecting enemy movements, and preventing surprise attacks. Their absence creates a blind spot that Russian forces expertly exploit. The use of motorcycle units by the Russians to spearhead the breakthrough is particularly noteworthy. Motorcycle units, often used for rapid reconnaissance and infiltration, can quickly bypass static defenses and exploit gaps in the line, especially when resistance is minimal. Their speed and maneuverability allow them to push deep into enemy territory before heavier forces can catch up, sowing chaos and disrupting rear area operations. The success of these relative light units against what should have been an established frontline underscores the complete lack of organized defense in the breakthrough sector. This tactic, reminiscent of early 20th century cavalry charges adapted for modern warfare, proved devastatingly effective against an undefended line. The urgent emergency meetings being held in Kyiv reflects the severity of the crisis. Ukrainian political and military leadership are undoubtedly grappling with how to stem the Russian tide, re-establish the defensive line, and protect the threatened city. Decisions made in these meetings will have profound consequences for the remainder of the conflict. The calling up of reserves signify a desperate attempt to quickly reinforce the collapsing front, but integrating reserve units into a dynamic and rapidly deteriorating situation presents significant logistical and command challenges. These reserves will likely be thrown into the breach to act as a firebreak, attempting to halt the Russian advance and prevent further collapse. These events marks the day Ukraine has always feared. The line has broken. For months, military analysts and Ukrainian strategists have warned about the potential for a major Russian breakthrough. If Western aid faltered or if Ukrainian defenses were stretched too thin, the current situation suggests that these fears have materialized, potentially heralding a new and dangerous phase of the conflict. A broken front line can lead to a domino effect as adjacent sectors become vulnerable, supply lines are cut, and units are outflanked. The psychological impact on Ukrainian forces who have fought valiantly for an extended period could also be significant, making it harder to rebuild morale and resist further advances. The strategic implications extend beyond the immediate battlefield. A major Russian advance could alter the political landscape, both domestically within Ukraine and internationally. It could embolden Russia, strengthen its negotiating position, and potentially lead to calls for a reassessment of Western support for Ukraine. For Ukraine, it represents a moment of extreme peril, demanding a rapid and effective response to prevent a wider collapse and protect its remaining territory. The ability of Ukraine to mobilize its reserve, establish new defensive position, and effectively counter this Russian breakthrough will be a defining test of its resilience and the continued effectiveness of international military aid. The world will be watching closely as Ukraine confronts this critical challenge, a moment that could fundamentally shift the dynamics of the ongoing conflict. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentation and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.